And a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to one of the most iconic circuits in motorsport history, Spa-Francorchamps. I will be your host, Steven Stewart, from the Jamaica Simulation Racing Association, and it is in fact morning here in Kingston, Jamaica. Welcome to a beautiful day here at the Spa-Francorchamps, what promises to be an incredible 6-hour endurance event, hosted by our friends at the AC Friends community. We're in for some fantastic action today with three distinct classes sharing this iconic track. First up, we have the GRC, the Group C cars, absolute beasts from the golden era of endurance racing. These machines are fast, these machines are loud, and these machines are built to dominate long races like this one. So expect to see a show put on for us here as it tear through Spa's legendary corners such as Rouge and Radion. Then there's a Group 5, the GR5 class, a throwback to the turbocharged glory days of the 70s and the 80s. These cars can be a bit wild, these cars can be a bit unpredictable, and a lot of fun to watch and drive as they battle for positions out on track. 6 hours will be a long duration for these drivers to tackle these cars, but nonetheless it's been done in real life, and I'm sure they will enjoy it just as much, if not more, in the simulator. And rounding out the grid, we do have the Group A, the Group A cars, the touring car legends that have made their way and their mark on motorsport history. These cars might not be the fastest in a straight line, but they'll be consistent, they'll be determined, and they'll be ready to mix it up in their own way. It's going to be a long race, but that's what endurance racing is all about: staying focused, making smart decisions, and pushing to the finish line. So sit back, relax, and enjoy what's sure to be a fantastic 6 hours of racing here at Spa. Let's get ready for some endurance racing. We do have roughly about 10.5 minutes remaining in this practice session, which is just basically to get the grid reacclimatized, prepared. If they want to take a break before their race, they can just, sit back, use the bathroom, drink some water. I will be posting the link to the live timing for you guys to carry on with and follow along with, my apologies, in the chat, just in case my commentary is too slow. But at least you'll be abreast of everything as the session goes on. But nonetheless, we have, as I said, roughly about 10 minutes remaining, and then we'll get right into the action. while we are still in the practice session, this would be a good moment just to introduce you all to the different teams, the different classes that will be partaking in this evening's race. So showing up on your screen, you should see a little graphic done by our friends over at ACF. Starting with the Group C class, car number 7 will be driven by Adrian Bernard and Aero Maddy in the Nissan R89C. That is car number 7. We'll next see the Porsche 962, car number 13, driven by Mehdi Mad and Kimi Hoyer. And that will be the car number 13, followed, and that will be driven by 2 French drivers, my apologies. Followed by, we have the front row team driving the Mazda 787, my absolute favorite car to hear and listen to. That car is driven by Lucas Miranda and Jonatas Leitberta. Car number 20. And ladies and gentlemen, please, I will apologize in advance if my pronunciation is incorrect. Please don't hold it against me, but you can just correct me in the chat as soon as you hear me make an error if I do. But next up is again another of my favorite car, the Mazda 787, driven by Sasha Gerards and Nick Likia, and that is driver or car number 23, and that very interestingly themed green and white livery, driven for Watt E Racing. So we'll ride along board with them at some point. Be Serious ACRT Racing is up next with the Mercedes-Benz C9 LM, driven by one of our friends at over at the JSRA actually, Mr. Tim Stahl and Dorian Polo. So very excited to see who and what Tim will be doing this evening. Tim is a good friend of ours at the JSRA, so I'm very happy to see him riding along board here this evening. So he will get shout outs when, definitely when I can and when he is driving. Next up, we do have the Toyota BBC, driven by one driver, Fortega Motorsports Levante Kalopsai, and that is car number 128. Be Serious ACRT Racing, that looks like the second team that they'll be having, driving the Lante LC2, driven by Flavio Vandelli and Alberto Ferian in car number 555. We next have another Mercedes-Benz C9, driven by FIHC Endurance Team, driven by Ambrose Vendel Monrac and Balind Jegozem, and that is car number 647. The next one up is the Porsche 962, car number 790, Danny Mueller and Jan Mueller. So I'm assuming brothers or cousins at some point, but I could be mistaken. This is just a guess on my part. And that car number is car number 790. Sim Racing United in the Aston Martin AMRI. That's the only Aston Martin I've noticed so far. Driven by car number 920. By the 2 German drivers Dominic Pieper and Oliver Killian. And that does round out our Group C cars. We next have the Group 5s up with car number 3 in the Ford Capri Turbo, driven for Tradition Sim Sport. Eric Neath, who we saw in the previous Rookie Masters, as well as Lucas Hamasha, and the 2 will be driving the Ford Capri Turbo. Next up is the Italia Racing Team, driving the BMW MI Turbo, M1 Turbo, my apologies, driven by Pierluigi Italia. We next have the Porsche 935 K3 Turbo, and this is my favorite Group 5 car as well, leading right ahead of the Ford Capri, I should say, which is car number 95. That is the Team Rev Kev. I'm guessing that you're going to be revving Kev as the race goes on. That is my little inside humor. Please excuse my jokes. I am a little bit corny. And that will be driven by Abdul Rahman and Nick Kindred of Canada. Next up, we have Mellow Motorsports driving in Porsche 935 K3 Turbo, driven by Dominic Singdeng. My apologies again, folks. Singendong. I'm sure I got that wrong, but Marco Singendong. My apologies again. Next up, we have the Ferrari 30B GTB Turbo, driven by Italia Racing Team 1. Car number 356, driven by Lucas Bertozzi and Alessandro Marugli. And next up will be again another Ferrari 308 GTP Turbo for Strefa Racing Team number 1. Driven by Orlando and Iwan. I'm just going to start calling persons by their last name just so I don't offend anybody. Next up is the Ford Capri Turbo in Itla competition, and that will be driven by Jacob Clapper and Cyprian Jaw. And that will be the Ford Capri Turbo, car number 770. Rusteezy is the next one up with the BMW 320i Turbo, driven by Fego Corentin and Lilian Pondevi, car number 828. And to round off, we have the Group A cars. And let me just check quickly, as we have roughly about a minute and a half remaining until the start of this race. So please hang on board for just a little bit while longer until the action ensues. But we have for Pilote del Norte in the Opel Omega Evo 500, as you see that Ford right there losing it a little bit on exit, but car number 16 driven by Andrea Papasadaro and Dennis Mikulov, followed by the car number 37 driven by one German driver for Renwork Racing, the Audi V8 Evo Quattro. Next up is, and that will be car number 37. Car number 84 does follow two United States drivers of Sage Motorsports in the BMW Group A E30 M3, driven by CJ Drew and Larry Tucker. Car number 84 will be right along board with them a lot, because that is my second favorite Group A car, and the next one is coming up after this one, as we have slowracing.com. Car number 133. I'm sure I saw somebody giving them shout outs earlier. Yes, Kevin Markosic saying go. Car number 133, I'm assuming it's for the Group A class. The slow racing team, Mercedes-Benz 190E Evo 2, driven by Simon Luzenik and Luka Zupanchik. And that will be car number 133. Car number 239, my favorite car, Expecto Patronus, interesting name, driving the Nissan Skyline GTR R32 is Dennis Mayer and Max Mayer. So those two will be driving my favorite car here for this evening. Mellow Motorsports number 2, or team 2, driving the Mercedes 190 Evo 2 as well. Anthony Hilton and Adam Donovan, car number 420. Car number 525, Dexter Racing number 2, BMW M3 E30 Group A. And they will be driving, or who will be driving, is Fabian Gertner and Tom Harding. Car number 669, Dexter Racing, again the Nissan Skyline GTR R32. Beautiful car, love the sounds, love the noises it makes, and as you can see it on his screen, going very drifty there on exit there in front. That car will be driven, car number 669, by Luca Cassell and Corey Andrews. Car number 701, TI Racing in the Toyota Super Group A, Nathaniel Mueller. We do have car number 708, B Series ACRT Racing, car number 2, driving the Opel Omega Evo 500 by Cristiano Marquez and Alfredo Meli. Car number 710 by Strefa Racing Team number 2, Toyota Super Group A, Nazar Chupko. And SimRacingUnited.net, car number 2, Ford Sierra RS500, Marcel Schumo and Henry Bamberg. And that is car number 979. Ladies and gentlemen, as the session now concludes and we're heading into the race minutes, a safety car will be leading these drivers off as the race begins. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 Group C cars. 8 Group 5 and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 Group A cars. I'm really looking forward to this race as the battles can be brilliant, especially with these cars, which are going to be so difficult to drive. I noticed Mr. Charles there, Dominic Charles. Yes, these cars, these races are absolutely epic. The 90s endurance monsters is heaven, not only to you, brother, but to us as well. The sounds, the aggression, how you have to handle these cars can just be so daunting and at the same time so entertaining for us here. So, looking forward, 6 hours of racing to come. We go through the grid and looking forward to the battles that will be coming in a moment's time. And there you have the absolutely beautiful Porsche safety car, which will be leading the pack away here this evening. We should have 3 safety cars, if I'm not mistaken, to lead each of these drivers through. I believe there might have been a restart there because I saw one of the drivers making contact with the next and or a few of the others. Not sure what had happened there, if it was a mistake on his part or not. However, the server has or seems to have been restarted. So safety cars should be leading leading the pack sooner than later. As the drivers are just sitting and waiting anxiously. Again, 6 hours might not seem that long to you, but imagine driving these absolutely brutal monsters through the street, well, not the streets, but through the beautiful and iconic twists and turns and straightaways of Spa-Francorchamps here this evening. These cars are not easy by any means to get around the track. I didn't get a chance to test it, but these cars should not be coming with ABS if I'm not mistaken, nor should they be coming with traction controls. So this will be something very interesting to watch for, and you will have to be so cautious. You'll have to having to manage your tires, seeing where strategy comes into place to help you gain that advantage over the next driver behind. As we always say in our league, you cannot win in turn 1, but you can definitely, my apologies, you can definitely throw the race in the beginning stages. So drivers should be as cautious as they can possibly be, especially in the first few laps, because it doesn't make sense getting any damage or losing out any places, especially if you know you have the pace to the car ahead. it's really just about managing and keeping a very cool and consistent. As you see, the drivers just looking left, looking right, looking at their competitors, preparing themselves. We will have a vote at some point in the race to see who is the preferred or who we think will be winning each class. We can kind of get some bets and excitement going on as the race ensues. But that being said, we have 6 hours, ladies and gentlemen, to go. We should be seeing the safety car for the Porsche coming out. The Porsche safety car coming out sooner than later to lead the pack away. I believe it should be getting going in about 14 seconds. As we do see the lights coming on the board now, you see 1, 2, 3, but the drivers should not be going full blast as yet. They'll be waiting for their safety cars, respective safety cars, to lead away their class. As you see the Porsche, they're pulling along in the rear end right there. So the drivers will just sit still. Look at that beautiful GTR in the background. I'm sorry, I might be a little bit biased this evening, as even last week we had an endurance, 3-hour solo endurance for the JSRA, and I was absolutely fawning over that Alpine LMDH car with the Chewbacca sounds. It was just absolutely fantastic. But that being said, the Group C cars are now on the way. Group 5 car, safety car should be catching up or leading the pack sooner than later. So you just get some nice views of the cars there in the Audi. What a beautiful car, DD. I mean, these are just iconic. These have basically built the history of motorsports, especially for us here. Just in terms of what we watch, how we enjoy racing, what we enjoy in the racing, etc., etc., etc. As we see the safety car there leading away the Group C cars. As we see here, the Group 5 safety car, which means the Group 5 should be rolling along as well in that beautiful Lancia as well. Absolutely stunning livery, and the sounds that that car will make are just absolutely heaven. These mods, we did use our mods, thankfully, from the AC Friends community, allowing us to use them in our 3-hour endurance, and they are absolutely just phenomenal mods, and I can only imagine that these are just on the same level as those. And we see the Group A is now driving out as well, so all 3 classes are now on the way, and we are still under safety car conditions, so please be wary, please be patient with us as they make their way around to begin the race. Noticing the Group C cars are that's about turn 16 by Stavlo. I'll take a look at what they are doing sooner than later, but especially as soon as they get nearer and nearer to the start finish line, we will be looking forward to what is to come. Group A cars, they're looking like they're already getting racy and ready for the 6 hours to come. But there go the Group C cars now as they are riding and heading up to the start finish line. I am using the auto camera feature for this evening's race, so please bear with us. It is not me controlling the cameras. I can switch, and I have been trying to, but it just automatically switches when it sees battle going on, basically. And here the cars are going. They will not be going on green They will be going when the safety car comes out. And that looks like a glitch there on for the group 5 cars, but there go the cars, and the race has actually begun. And getting a stop and go penalty there for that's gonna be on the driver, unfortunately, maybe moving a little bit over. But wow, that is 3 wide between Tega, ACRT, and KRT, fighting it out, heading up now, going up to your Rouge. And immediately the race has already started for them. They haven't let a second go, and the race has gotten off relatively clean, thankfully, so we're looking forward to that and what's to come. We'll take a look at the group 5s now as they are heading down now into the final section, but we'll continue to ride along board. ACRT is in P2, Tradition Racing in P1, and Watt E Racing in P3. Those hold the podium positions currently, but we'll ride along now with the Group C cars, who should be Group 5 cars, my apologies, who should be the safety car should be coming in now, and the drivers will be going off at the start finish line. Tradition is in P1 for Group C and in P2 and in P1 for Group 5, so we'll watch them as they go along. They're going very deep into the corner. Is he, and does that bear any loss for him? No, he got away relatively clean and very smooth away from the rest of the pack. And the camera is going into the 2 cars taking that drive-through penalty, unfortunately, for stop. It was a stop and go, so unfortunate for them. And this auto camera is killing me. That was a Group 5 car stranded in the middle of that road, driven by Strafos, so I'm sure we'll hear about what happened there sooner than later. But for the foreseeable future, I am stuck with these drivers at the moment. And unfortunately, we would be missing out the race start due to whatever just happened with the glitching with the auto camera. But nonetheless, we'll just ride along board and catch up back with where we are as we see the Group A is fighting it out already, and it's 3 of them basically fighting their way through by Poyon. Is that even coming out of Poyon? My apologies. And we will be enjoying this race. As the Group C's have already caught back up to the Group A's, and the race has just started, so that means they will definitely be seeing a lot of them per lap. And my apologies there, folks, for the overlays that we saw. I was trying to figure out what was going on with the auto camera and did not realize that that was open. So that will not happen again. My apologies. But nonetheless, we're back with the action. So we will get ready for the fights to continue as between P4, P6 and P4 are already fighting their ways through 4 position, and as the commentator's curse goes, there goes KRT now giving option to Group C Tega team to fight it out and see if they can maybe make up a position here or there, but there he goes already into P5 and takes that position away from KRT.